Yeah, finally we are here. Uh, the last occasion we have time to talking about the new album, of course, and of course about the concert. And now I want to know because you tell me that in Nashville you feel or the band feel a little strange. No, I don't know if something in particular happened or only was the vibe in the election time. I don't know.
It was a couple. I think it was Nashville is a really it's a music town. It's a country music town. It's a very like music as a business kind of town too. Rise Against, we're a professional band, but we've never been very careerist about what we do. We sort of stumbled into this thing, and music is way more of a pyramid scheme down in where we were down there. And so it's like, I think that, not to dismiss all of Nashville either, because I think it's a lovely place and there's a blossoming rock scene and punk scene, but it was definitely one of those places where it's like, what we do doesn't necessarily fit in down here, and it was one of those things that I got that impression, which I think is evidenced by the fact that bands like us don't end up playing a lot of shows around there.
Yeah.
And in the 4 months I was there, and I've been touring long enough where if you put me in any city for about 4 months, eventually a band that I want to see will tour through, or a band that I know personally, like friends of mine will come through and I'll go say hi. That always happens. I mean, even if we're in a town for only a few days, sometimes that happens. And we were there for 4 months and not one single band, that I was interested in toured and played there. And I hope that changes because I met rock fans, I met punks in Nashville who want that music to happen there. So we just got to get more of them to help us sell some tickets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know that I was there in Nashville.
Oh, you were there? Okay.
Yeah, and I went to a bar and the bar was only country music.
Yeah.
No, for me it was like I remember that only knew a song of Tom Petty. The other artist was like I don't know what. I don't know for you.
That's the same
Maybe.
thing for me. Yeah, everybody's like, oh, this artist lives here, and I was like, I've never heard of him, or they did this artist did the record at this studio, like I've never heard of her, or I played on this song, I haven't heard that song, I'm sorry, so it's like, whoosh, and I get it, like there are a lot of people who haven't heard, the punk bands that are important to me, so I don't hold it against anybody, but it's definitely one of those places that it's a different world. And I think I told you on the phone too, like I've been to Mexico more times than I've been to Nashville, Tennessee. It was a whole different place, but it was cool. We still had a good time. There's great food there. I like to mountain bike. There was good mountain bike trails there. The weather was nice. Chicago is very cold in the winter, and Nashville had some nice mild winters. So it was a cool place to kind of get down to business and work on a record.
Great. And of course, you told me in the interview that this album, like other works of Rise Against, we wait when we know that you release an album, we know that you have a story, and now you ask for the people to take action, to do something. But I want to know your story. How Tim start with this need, that to be an activist, how when you remember that this start, like with your instrument, you start with the gear in some moment, I don't know, in this side of your life.
Oh, right. I think that I always liked music growing up. I didn't play anything until I was like 13 when I first picked up a guitar. And that was because I was starting to get into music and rock music and punk. But when I saw bands, a lot of local bands or like hardcore bands, when I saw bands on stage talking between songs, like explaining about what the song was about or why they wrote it, when I saw bands show up to shows with not just their t-shirts but also some information about, say, like sweatshops or environmental issues, and they were like, hey, come check out our merch and check out our new record, but also we have people from Amnesty International explaining to you what's happening in this country or what's happening here. And that fascinated me as a young kid, that I could go see music, but I was also learning about these things that, because my teachers weren't talking about environmentalism or global warming. My teachers weren't talking about sweatshops, or my teachers weren't talking about, you know, some of the issues with capitalism, you know. But the bands that I would go see, they were talking about it. And it became like a secondary education for me. And that's what really kind of triggered my interest in like music. You know, it was like, I liked music passively, you know what I mean, as like just a listener.
Yeah.
But what made me want to actually get on a stage was all of the different things that those artists were unlocking in me, because then I saw the power of music. And I think that's kind of what started me down my road.
Great. And now, for example, I know that you are working in the release of the album, no?
Yeah.
But I don't know if you are in something special about in some organization right now, no? We know the work of the band
right.
together in PETA or other organizations.
Yeah, there's no specific campaign that Rise Against is involved in as of right now. That's something that I think that is constantly changing though.
Okay. And of course, for this new record, I know it's hard, but we need to choose one song that you recommend for the Mexican people and about the story of this song.
Man, I feel like something that might be pertinent to Mexico right now is there's a song called How Many Walls on the record, and it's all about this bullshit idea of a wall that separates people without even really looking at some of the nature of the issue, or perhaps ignoring the fact that there is no issue at all, you know. That song is sort of talking specifically about the walls that we build. It was inspired by like, you know, the Trump campaign, you know, where it was this misdirected anger and sort of thinly veiled racism about like this wall and this attack on people, you know. It was really unfair and kind of disgusting, in one of those moments as an American where you felt really sort of ashamed and embarrassed that this was the guy that was leading your country, you know. And instead of like living in that shame or that embarrassment, you try to like plant your flag and say, this is not who we are, you know. And so you fight back, and you fight with people who say that this is who we are. And so the song is about like, how many walls do you need? How many guns do you need to feel safe? Like this whole idea that if we just had this, then all of the world's problems will be solved, which is, you know, it's a bullshit idea, but it's also an idea that preys upon people's racism. You know, it pulls the racists out of the woodwork, because a wall wouldn't solve anything, but you can get people to vote for you if you trick them into voting for you, if you trick them into believing that they're going to build this wall. And when you trick people into it, you know, that makes you a con man, that makes you a fraud, you know.
Yeah, but at the same time, the Mexican people that are in the punk rock, we know that Rise Against and other bands are like in our side now with the support of the bands, and that it's great.
Yeah, that's what we're here for. Is what punk rock should be there for. It's kind of like, you know, like I said, kind of plant our flag against that kind of racism.
Thank you, Tim. I think that the time is over and you need to do a concert. Yeah. But do you want to say anything else for you Mexican?
Oh, just muchas gracias. You know, thank you so much for all the love that this country shows our band. We don't deserve it. It's pretty incredible and amazing. And thank you for being so patient too. Like, it's been so many years since Viva Latina, and so we're so happy to be back here finally playing our own show. And yes, and I hope we don't wait another 7 years before we come back, because this city is beautiful, this country is beautiful. We have such a good time just in the last 2 days, and all I keep thinking is about I wish we were here longer.
You keep a promise.
All right, yeah.